Hi, thanks for joining us again today. My name is John. You probably know me. I am that franchise guy. You can reach me at thatfranchiseguy.com. Really appreciate you taking some time to watch this video, the series of informative videos and interviews that I do. I haven't created a great name for it yet, so it's not a podcast. It's not. It's my discovery series, Chip. How's that? So
That
today I'm
works.
I'm really excited to have with me Chip Baranowski from Green Home Solutions. Probably one of the best franchise opportunities you haven't heard about yet. So, Chip, tell them a little bit about, how did you get into franchising, your background, and then, let's just roll right into a little bit of background on Green Home and the opportunity there.
Yeah, great. So I've been in the industry for over 25 years. Actually, started my career in the transportation industry, and after 12 years, I wanted to kind of break that cycle and not be categorized as a transportation guy, and went out and decided to look for a new job. And I was fortunate to be introduced and interviewed with a young franchise company at the time. He had like five franchise owners, and he hired me on with no experience in the franchise industry, and spent some time with him, and I was hooked after that. And so I've worked with about 10 different brands over my 25 years. I was also a franchise consultant for 4.5 years. So I was a business owner as well, which was a great experience for me, and stepping outside my comfort zone and taking more risks in my life, and moved out to Arizona 19 years ago. And to get away from the winter. And so I'm here at Green Home Solutions now. What I love about this opportunity, it's kind of a unique concept in a not a very big populated industry in franchising. I
Right.
mean, we basically what we do is indoor air quality, um, mold remediation. We actually have nine revenue streams, all centered around creating better indoor air quality for both businesses and homes. And our unique proposition is all the products we use when we're doing the services are green in nature. So they're all plant-based enzymes that are safe for people, plants, and pets.
Nice.
Where a lot of the competition in the marketplace, they're using chemicals that even their technicians don't know how they work. They're just giving them the products to utilize through these many different services that do. But when you ask them how it works and what it does, they can't even tell you that. So our company was founded actually over 10 years ago by Russ Weldon, and he partnered up with our chief science officer, David Bloom, who David and his partner created all the green products that we actually use today. And then Jeff Panella is our CEO. He came on board with them shortly afterwards. And how Jeff got connected with Green Home Solutions is he knew Jeff from the wireless toy days because they were in the wireless franchising world. And Jeff had an issue with his mother in law's home. She was very ill and not feeling well. And Jeff said, "Hey, well, why don't we get the house tested and make sure everything's okay?" And Green Home Solutions came in and tested the air and found out that there was a very serious mold issue that was created in the basement, and his mother-in-law was tracking it up through the house, and
Hmm.
created the health issues that she had. So Green Home Solutions came in and took care of that mold issue, and the mother-in-law was feeling awesome. And Russ finally said, "Hey, Jeff, would you mind coming on as CEO of the company and help us expand this across the country?" So today we have about 205 franchise owners covering 30 states right now. But we're not a what I would call a national brand throughout the country. A lot of people don't know about the importance of indoor air quality. Um, as it comes on a day-to-day basis, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm not only an employee, I'm now a customer as well, because my I found out my wife was working with a functional medicine doctor, was having some health issues, and we discovered after having Green Home do an indoor air quality test that we had some issues that were contributing to some of my wife's health issues. And in fact, that this is timely, John, because they actually were in my house on Tuesday and Wednesday this week doing what we call our refresh
Right.
to clean our home. So we'll hopefully help with some of the medical issues that my wife has been incurring.
Wow, there's a whole lot there, and I probably have half a dozen questions I wanted to follow up with, but
Yeah.
let's stay kind of with that that last piece though about
Yeah.
the need. So as I'm thinking about what if I'm looking at this as a business, what first question I would have would be, how do you translate the need into customers? Meaning, what are you doing to be front and center when somebody, they may be sick and not have any idea why, right? So how do they connect those dots to get the Green Home Solutions franchisee in front of the customer?
Yeah, so a lot of different ways that we're connected with potential customers. One
Hmm.
is, John, you and your wife might be doing a home construction project, and you're ripping out walls and floors and stuff like that, and all of a sudden you're removing your old showers around, and all of a sudden there's mold there because there
Yeah.
was some water damage in the past that was never fully remediated, and now this stuff that's been hidden behind your wall is now fully exposed. Secondly, is we run across a lot of people that are buying homes, and we get referrals through real estate agents as well, and home inspectors because they're working with a homeowner that's selling or buying, and through the home inspection, the home inspector finds that there's a mold issue. It might be up in the attic because there maybe was a leak in the roof at one point. It was patched, but it was never.
Hmm.
They never looked into the attic and see that there was water in there, and over time, water creates mold.
Yeah.
Or like my wife is, you're going to a doctor and certain tests and things that are going on really kind of bring up the topic that there might be some mold or some other issues going on in your home. And really, functional medicine doctors are different in the sense that they're doing a lot what a general practitioner might do, but they're also want to know the environment you're working in and living in as well. Also, allergists as well,
Yeah.
and homeopathic doctors that are not just dealing with the symptoms and then giving you a pill and say, "Here, take this," and if it doesn't work, well, we'll
Right.
prescribe something else. These doctors are looking more at the root cause in the environment that you're living in, and then so we partner with these referral sources in anywhere in the contract world that are working with homes. So HVAC companies, plumbers,
Yeah.
uh, roofers, and then in the medical field, it's the functional medicine doctors, the allergists, the homeopathic doctors, real estate agents, et cetera, that end up referring people and get word of mouth. But our owners are all also
Yeah.
out in the local community educating people.
Yeah.
Because
So
when I started, I'm sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, so it's kind of interesting because a lot of times you'll take a business and just kind of automatically lump it into a, B2B business or a B2C. And what I'm hearing is your customer's consumer generally like a B2C, but your model has to have some like B2B selling component to it almost, right? Or networking, because
Mhm.
that's where your referrals are coming from, or some of
Yeah,
them anyway. Yeah.
yeah. And then we also work with commercial customers as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
because some of the products we use actually help, like our disinfectant product. Is great for like daycares and gyms because it
Hmm.
actually adheres to surfaces for up to 90 days to fight off bacteria and viruses. And we just recently, at the beginning of this year, our disinfectant product was approved by the EPA as being a product that can eradicate the COVID-19 virus as well.
Wow. Very cool. I love the aspect of it being, green too, and obviously that's why it's in the name. But you mentioned a few minutes ago about some of the more independent, what we affectionately call sometimes mom and pop competition, maybe using more chemicals. That it strikes me like if you're trying to clean the air quality in the house, why would you bring more chemicals into the house, right? I'm like,
Hmm.
and obviously I'm not an expert on your business. I know we've worked some together, but so
Hmm.
some of this is me as you're talking literally in real time processing like as a candidate or somebody who, maybe considering becoming a franchisee might be doing. So if you're watching this, I'm thinking just like you right now. Um, and if this is an appropriate segue, feel free to table it. But you mentioned 9 revenue streams. Talk about that a little bit. Where are the different places that franchisees can make money?
Yeah, so the first one is indoor air quality
Hmm.
testing. So what we do, and again, I went through this experience in my own home,
Yeah.
is my owner came out and we have a piece of equipment that a small portable device that he took around and took readings out of four different places in my home,
Yeah.
as well as the outdoor, and it collects an air sample. We send the air sample out to our third party vendor for analysis, and then we get that back a detailed report that we can sit down with the customer and review. The second is mold assessment and removal. And John, what I also like to tell candidates or people is we're not a restoration company.
Yeah.
We're not the mold, fire, and water guys coming out in an emergency situation. Like I said earlier, we're usually coming out when a homeowner is doing a construction project or a home inspector finds mold or there's a health issue. So we're coming in after the fact.
Okay.
We also do odor removal. So think about older homes, homes with pets, smokers. We do air duct cleaning because it's all tied into the indoor air quality of your home. When you turn on the air or the heat, stuff gets pushed out, and particles that you can't see are pushed out, and you're inhaling them, and they can affect your health.
Yeah.
We do crawl space encapsulation for those areas of the country that don't have basements. Those crawl spaces need to be encapsulated with a vapor barrier so moisture can't get up underneath the house and create mold and other issues. We have a probiotic air purification process where we can mist our probiotic product into your home to help with things like allergies and asthma. A disinfectant product that can fight off bacteria and viruses in up to 90 days. We do radon testing and remediation as well,
Mm.
because that creates problems. And we're just rolling out our ninth service this year, where we're getting into the sealing of basements. Because again, in the parts of the countries that have basements, not here in Arizona where I live, but back in the Midwest where I grew up, about 40% of the health issues start in the basement and work their way up.
Yeah.
Because think about it, in the Midwest where I grew up, and I don't know if where you live have basements, in the summer months it's really damp and cool down there. But if you don't have dehumidifiers running, mold can create. And I remember my grandmother's house when she was still alive, and she lived down in a farm. And in her later days, you go down the basement, it smelled really musty. And that's actually mold. So there was mold down there that she was dealing with, and it can create health issues. So coming in and being able to seal the basement, making sure that they have the proper drainage around the house. So if they
Hmm.
do get snow melt or floods, it goes away from the house. Those are the services that we provide.
That's fantastic. No, that was exactly what kind of I was looking at. Like in many cases we do these interviews, I don't spend quite that much time on the product or service, but because it's fairly unique here, I think it's important for the, for the video for people to understand what exactly is green, what am I doing as an owner in this business? So,
Yeah.
um, but I definitely love to spend time on why people are probably watching this, which is what do I do every day? What's the business opportunity here? What's gonna, what are the successful franchisees? Two things. What do they look like? Meaning background, experience, that kind of personal profile. And then your successful franchisees, what are they doing every day? And that, maybe address it in terms of like a year one and a year five or something like that too.
Yeah, so the backgrounds are varied. It's not one particular group of people. One thing they all
Hmm.
have in common is they really have a passion for helping people and live better
Mm.
lives in their local communities. They have a passion for that. 24% of our current owners, John, are actually military veterans that have come out of the military
Okay.
that are all about processes and systems, SOPs, right?
Right.
Standard operating procedures. And they love it and they have grown the businesses. But we have everything from people out of the real estate industry to B2B sales, or people. I just sold a franchise recently to an individual that ran a lead abatement company,
Okay.
but it was all reimbursed by the local city, and he had to wait for his money. And then he pretty much had cleaned up all the lead in his city, and the only way for him to grow that business was to expand outward, and he didn't want to travel long distances, so he came across us online, and now he's still doing a little lead abatement, but now he's actually opening on Monday in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
So it's a lot of walks of life. The day in the life in the beginning, it's the owner's wearing a lot of different hats. Our
Hmm.
business scale's really small. When they launch their business, it's the owner and two technicians
Yeah.
and one truck. And that one truck and two technicians can generate up to a $500,000 worth of reoccurring revenue before they have to scale to another truck. So the owner in the beginning, they're out there meeting with customers and doing the indoor air quality testing. They're making sure that the appointments are scheduled. They might be out with the crew in the morning, making sure they're getting the job started correctly, and maybe following up with them later. They're out at networking events and meeting with doing lunch and learns with homeopathic doctors or functional
Yeah.
medicine doctors and getting out in the local community. They're making sure that their online marketing, they're working with our marketing department to make sure the online marketing is going and following up with inquiries and going out and providing bids and following up afterwards. So they're wearing a lot of hats. As they mature and get that first truck full, they're going to look at the opportunity to bring on maybe a general manager. They're
Okay.
going to look at the areas where they really love to focus on and get excited about, and then bring somebody on to handle that. So for me, I'm a sales and marketing, business development, finance guy. I would hire that GM to kind of handle all the operational aspects
Okay.
in regards to training and hiring and customer relations, etc.
Okay.
So that's the transition. And some of our most successful owners, in addition to Green Home, have ventured off into other businesses as well because they built a really solid business. One of my owners actually, with the proceeds of his profits in Green Home Solutions, started two other businesses. One was just a personal passion where they opened a distillery.
Ah,
And they brew their own bourbon and whiskey and stuff, but it was just kind of a passion and excitement, and they had the money from Green Home Solutions that helped them fund that as well.
nice. Very nice. Um, so as a follow-up, so the technician, are they're the ones who are coming out doing the evaluation of the home or the business for the customer and making the recommendations then on the
Not
scope
in
of
the
work?
not a, Yeah, not in the beginning. It's usually
Okay.
the owner. The owner's
Okay.
going out and doing the indoor air quality testing,
Okay.
and then meeting back with the customer and laying out, what we require, what we recommend to them, and then they schedule the technicians to come in. So
So
that's what happened with me. And the technicians came out and spent 2 days at my house. Doing what we call our refresh, which was
okay.
to reset my whole indoor environment.
So the two technicians actually mobile based can do all of that. They're not you're not having to like partner with contractors or other people to come in and do it. The techs can actually do.
Do some of it, but
Yeah.
but again, we're not a construction company, so
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
we're not ripping walls out. What's unique about our product is where a lot of these companies that are doing the mold are using chemicals where they might have to like bleach.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody thinks bleach is get rid of mold. Well, it does get rid of the surface mold, but it doesn't get rid of the mold spores that are in the surface, like drywall or wood or whatever it might be. Our
Yeah.
product, actually, we don't even need to scrub. We just apply it, and it basically kind of I don't know the science term. My science guys do,
Right.
but I just related it kind of eats it away and gets rid of all of the
Yeah.
mold
Well, and I
completely.
think that's the point I was trying to get to is to help people watching this understand that they don't need a big team of so the technician I would guessing it needs to be somebody who presents well but is a little bit handy, but they don't need any special training, I would imagine, right?
Nope,
Mm.
nope, nope. It's like as long as they can follow a process and they like
Yeah,
to clean,
yeah,
because again, like they did with me, they came in and cleaned my air ducts out. They took their HEPA vacuums, they vacuumed all the surfaces of my home, right? They wiped down all
yeah,
the like the windowsills and stuff, and then they brought in a machine to run overnight to basically get rid of all that bad stuff. And then they came in and then they applied through misting machines
hmm
all the products that we utilize on a daily basis to help, and then wipe down surfaces again. So it's really all about cleaning. So
yeah.
I could take any blue collar worker from a restaurant to a commercial cleaner to a residential cleaner and teach them the skills working Monday through Friday, normal business hours.
Yeah. I think that's such a bit. I mean, I can't tell you how many calls I've been on lately, and I'll say that I'll define that as say the last 6 months, but where, the biggest concern is, oh, in my area, like everybody's area is special. If you're watching this, your area is not special. We all have the same challenges. But in my area, it's hard to get reliable tradesmen or whatever, we're looking at. And so I like that you have a bigger pool of working candidates to choose from. You don't have to have specifically licensed or trained people. I think
Mhm.
that's a big advantage. So, talk a little bit about. So I know you said you have over 200 locations around the country. Uh, but it sounds like, I mean, from what our conversations before, a lot of the country's still available too, right? So people watching this inquire to me. I mean, that franchise guy, we can figure it
Yeah.
out for you if it's available. But you have a lot of availability yet, or still around the country?
Oh yeah, I mean areas, and John, you and I have been in franchising for a while. I mean, I have all of Atlanta open,
Yeah.
all of Florida, all of Texas. I mean, these are areas that are really hotbeds for entrepreneurs that like to go out there and do it. Our biggest concentration of franchise owners is up in the Northeast in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island because that's where we started out.
See, I would have
Um,
thought all those areas in the South that are so humid would have been the areas where, you know.
yeah, we're looking for good franchisees to tap into those markets where
That's
we finally sold our first franchise in Washington State, the
wow.
Pacific Northwest, which is really wet.
Yeah, for sure.
And two ex Amazon guys, are building out 5 territories for us up there. So
Awesome.
it's amazing.
What does it take to get started if somebody's entertaining a franchise invest? Well, and let's maybe talk about that two ways. What does it take both as an investment level and the maybe even the mental approach, but also I think as a piece of that, why look at Green Home, just compare. I mean, they've got this in their mind. All right, I've been working a desk job for 30 years. I want to go do something different. This is my shot. I talk to a lot of people like that. Um, you, you know, why should they look at Green Home Solutions and not, sandwiches or a pizza company or whatever. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of stuff out there. You've taken those calls before.
Yeah.
So maybe touch on those things a little bit.
Yeah, so the all-in investment for a single territory,
Mhm.
this includes the initial franchise fee of $55,000.
Mhm.
We do offer a 20% vet fran and
Mhm.
first responder discount because we really believe in supporting our veterans and our first responders. A $45,000 equipment and product package, all the equipment and products you'll need to get off the ground. This does not include a vehicle. We don't want you to go out and buy a brand new vehicle. A lot of home service businesses want you to go out there right away and spend $80 to $100,000
Yeah.
in a brand new Sprinter or Ford Transit. I would rather have you lease one at a lower rate or buy a used one at probably half or less than half the price of one and finance it on a small car loan to keep your overheads down. And then you need about $70,000 worth of operating capital for the first 3 to 6 months. That money covers 20,000 $20,000 of it is your grand opening marketing budget for the first 6 months. And the rest of the $50,000 is things like payroll. It covers your lease payment on your vehicle, insurance for your company and your vehicle, your cell phone. This is a home-based business, so you don't need to get something off-site where you have to
Yeah.
pay an office and pay rent and security deposits and stuff like this. So it's very low overheads. And then, like John, you need at least 12 months of personal living expenses set aside. Now, if your spouse is working full time and covers that nut, great, all the better, right? But if not, make sure that you have those dollars set aside. Not that you're going to need all 12 months of it,
Right.
but better to have it for peace of mind's sake in case you hit a little bump in the road, right? To do that. All right.
Anybody who's watched my videos has heard me talk about bumps in the road. They know, yeah, I mean, I've owned franchise locations in a couple different industries since 2007, and I'd do it all over again. But yeah, there are some days that are not easy.
No, no, and you don't want to sit there worrying, and you don't want your spouse to worry about how are we going to make the mortgage payment tomorrow, this week, because the deal didn't come through or whatever it might be.
Yep.
So it's really the individual that really wants to go out there and just, so you talk about why green home solutions.
Hmm.
Well, again, as I've been in franchising for 25 years and we're talking to a lot of candidates, it checks a lot of boxes for a lot of candidates out there.
Yeah.
They want a small initial investment. They want a home-based business, so they don't have to have an office outside the home. They want very few employees to start.
Yeah.
They don't want to start with some of these brands that, one of the other brands that I used to work with, I mean, you're starting out with 12 or 15 employees, right? It's a Monday through Friday business. No nights, no weekends. You're home every night to have dinner with the family. You're free on the weekends.
Yeah.
You have multiple revenue streams. You're not just dealing with one service. And so a lot of our franchise owners in the beginning, one of my owners in the Carolinas, he does a lot of business in encapsulations, but he hasn't even tapped into, three-quarters of his the opportunity in his market because the encapsulation business is keeping him so busy. So he has ways to continue to expand, right?
Absolutely.
This is a high profit margin business as well. It doesn't take 1,000 transactions like some of these businesses where, yeah, it's a subscription fee, but the subscription is like 49.95. Well, how many of those transactions do you need to do over
Right.
the course of a month to meet your break even point? And then again, you're working with a great company that's really focused on not just growing a business, but helping their franchise owners grow as well. And that's where our support structure. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here for you, John. Is
Sure, please.
we have a two-tiered support structure. We have our corporate staff that supports our franchise owners, but we also have three area representatives that
Hmm.
are actually successful operating franchise owners that have taken on additional roles to help onboard and support the franchisees as well. So part of their onboarding and launch into their business is they're going to spend 2 weeks in their AR's territory, working alongside of them, learning all the skills to do this. And the second week is on the sales side and getting out there and showing you how to market yourself to the local public and real estate agents and stuff like that. And then when you get back into your market, in addition to the corporate staff, you have your AR to lean on. And sometimes, John, you know this, being a fellow franchisee, it's nice to be able to talk to another franchise owner and say, hey, how did you handle this situation?
Oh, for sure.
And what should I have done differently versus just coming to the corporate staff?
Well, having a business coach or whatever, they're called different things with different brands, but that's important. Having somebody who's done it themselves is a little unique, which is, but so maybe even more important. The franchisee network, but having somebody who's kind of fits in, wears all three of those hats is very unique.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting. I like that they get that. That's part of their training, because I think that people who are watching this video in most cases are not just looking for the business opportunity, but part of their thought process is, I don't have a better idea, right? I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
how I got into franchising. I didn't have a better mousetrap. I wasn't able to build a computer in my garage and scale a big, Microsoft out of it. That wasn't me. I had nowhere to go. I came out of mortgage banking. Now what? So, franchising was a natural fit, but, you got to train me up, teach me, right? Give me marching orders and I'll go do it, which is exactly what the best franchises do. And so, I think people watching that need to know, about that level of training and support that will help them not just get open, but grow their business as big as they want to grow it, right?
Yep. Yep. And then we have that. We have three, when you look at our overall franchise
Hmm.
system, we have some man in a van,
Hmm.
chuck in a truck
Right.
that just want to be that self-employed individual that is in their local community and they're making a nice living, but again, they're never going to be the multimillionaire, right? They're never going to be that large owner. Then we have our owners that are building nice small scalable businesses where they might have a couple vehicles on the road. They might have you know 5 or 6 employees, but it's a lifestyle business for them, right?
Yeah.
We have a great owner up in Vermont. I mean, they're both educators that got into the business over 10 years ago, but they're there to take their kids to school in the morning and be home with them at night when they come home.
Yeah.
and it's about a lifestyle to them. And then we have our owners that want to scale this to a large operating business, like my guys in Roanoke, Virginia, that own 16 territories.
Yeah.
And in addition to Green Home, owns several other businesses as well. So there's a lot of different. It's not like one cookie cutter, one size fits all. It's a lot of different people that are getting into this business and scaling it the way they want it to, and still being successful.
Yeah. I love that, and I love that that you guys embrace that, and aren't,
Hmm.
there's a lot of organizations out there, and some of the ones I'm talking to that want to only bring on and drive people into multi-units. That's like all we're doing is selling multiple territories. And, you go from what looks like $150,000 all-in investment to all of a sudden you're getting ready to sign a $300,000 deal, and most of that's going to territory fees. And you don't
Yeah.
have to do that. In many cases, it's best not to do that. Um, Now, the other follow-up to that is, a lot of times people don't realize that the bigger you get, the bigger you scale, sometimes the less you work. So, um, and but now you're paying people to do work that you could be doing. So you have to factor that in. But you talk about a lifestyle business, and and I just think it's great that people have the opportunity to say, I'm big on, figure out where you're going before you try and get there. So, to say, all right, well, John, I want to be here in 5 years or 10 years. And I say, all right, so you want to make 75 grand a year and have two employees and you're happy with that? Awesome. We got a great opportunity. We want to make 500,000 a year and have a bunch of employees and scale something and work from a boat in the Bahamas. Okay, that might work too. Yeah, it's going to take some time, right? You got to build to get there,
Yeah.
but we got to know
Yeah.
where we want to go to get to start. So, I'm not sure I even knew that from our conversations in the past, you had that broad of an opportunity for different people who
Hmm.
might be looking into this. So I do think that's awesome that it checks boxes for so many different people too. So
Yeah. It does. It does.
awesome. Well, I really appreciate you today. It looks like we're at about 30 minutes, so we've certainly covered a lot. Before I wrap up, is there anything that I didn't ask that people should ask? Anything that you'd like to make sure that and leave them with?
Uh, No, I think in 30 minutes we covered a lot of topics in regards to working with your clients, John. What I would say is if you find that what we're talking about is you have an interest in learning more, is get a hold of John. He does a great job in helping you analyze, what business ownership's all about and steer you toward opportunities that fit your goals. And John,
Yeah,
we all both know this, right? People want to own a business, but they sometimes get locked in and say, I need to be in this industry or this type of business. And I'll tell you, in placing over 400 people in franchising in 25 years, most of the people that I worked with never thought they'd be in a business they ended up getting into
right.
until after they really, followed their process and
Hmm.
worked with you to really open up their eyes and minds to there are other things out there than food
Yep.
or healthcare and some of these other things that might check all those boxes, but it just happens to be in a different business model
Yeah.
that gives you everything you want. So I would just reach out to you, have them reach out to you. And if you're fit for Green Home, I'd love to take you through the educational process to see if it's a fit for you.
Perfect. No, I agree 100% that a big part of the value I think we bring to people is just expanding their horizons on what's out there. And not everything is going to be a fit, but at least consider some things that would never have been on your radar if not for us. And that's part of the value that myself and people like us bring. So.
Yeah.
With that, I will wrap us up. Again, if you're watching this, I sure appreciate it. I thank you for and value you as considering my information is valuable, and look forward to hearing your feedback on Green Home Solutions, of course, and anything else that we may have up here that you're looking at. Um, we're not sure what platform you might have found this on. It will be housed on YouTube. It will be on LinkedIn. and on my website, of course, as well. So if you'd like to learn more about Green Home Solutions, you can reach me at john at thatfranchiseguy.com, or as I said, on any of those platforms. My profile on LinkedIn.com is That Franchise Guy. Do not search for John Anderson. There's like a million of us on LinkedIn. So make sure you search for That Franchise Guy. Thank you. And thank you, Chip, for joining me. I think this was awesome.
All right, thanks, John.